If you're a healer or someone in the transformation industry, there are 5 pillars to running a successful practice and building a successful practice. With these 5 pillars, you will absolutely drive success in your life path. Let's unpack them. The first one that most people overlook is the magic key that all master healers have, deeply embodied inside themselves, and that's the magic key of depth. Depth outperforms technique every time. When you're very, very deep, because you've done the inner work yourself, you've done the deep shadow work. And I'm not just talking shadow work on your childhood wounds. I'm talking about, liberating your genetic line, cleaning all your genetic line out, working a lot on your past life integration, on your work on your past life karma. When you get deeply embodied like that, you just naturally bring people's triggers and wounds up to the surface, and it's much easier to access and move them through. And it's a basic law of harmonic induction. When you're more deeply embodied like that, naturally, all of these energies just come up to the surface for you because you're holding a faster wavelength. And the secret, to holding a faster wavelength or holding a higher vibration isn't to try to go up and use techniques to try to raise your vibration. It's being deeply embodied by working on your deep, deep core resonators and deep core wounds. Then naturally your higher consciousness drops in. So all master healers have depth and a lot of deep direct experience. The second of the 5 pillars is that you need to learn how to get results, and the only way you need to know how to do that is you've got to understand the zone of transformation. The zone of transformation is being able to work down to the core wound, and understanding that around the core wound often lies a lot of compactions. And this is what trips up most healers. Most healers don't know how to deal with the very, very dense compactions that have often built up over years and years and years and years. And so they can be running chakra balancing and surface level energetic healing, but it doesn't drop down to the deep energetics, because actually the chakras are only just responding to the deep energetics. The chakras are just the superficial energetics. And this is why most healers don't get those deeper results compared to the master healers, because they're just working on the superficials. And so, yeah, sure, they might be able to track if a chakra is closed or blocked or open, but these chakras are just responding to what's happening deeper down in the underrealmed aspects of the unconscious, and this is where the deep wounds lie. So it's all about getting access to that wound, which is often difficult because of the compactions. And so getting rid of those compactions and the real density that sits around the core wounds is the key, because you've got to be able to get people into experiencing the core wound. When you do that, you can liberate it and remove it from the system. So understanding that zone of transformation, how to navigate the tricky density and compactions, is an absolute key. Next up in the of the 5 pillars, we've also got this aspect of the self-actualization. Knowing how to work your clients through an evolutionary journey that might start off with health and vitality, but ultimately you've got to start working on the next level, which is their personal psychology. And once you can start working on those mother-father wounds and understanding their personal patterns and programs, ultimately you want to get up, and this is where most master healers are working at the level of understanding deep energetic psychology. That's that next tier. If you can start to work at the level of energetic psychology and understanding energetic developmental psychology and what's happening to the energy field at the various stages of childhood development, you'll start to really get a sense of what's happening to them at certain ages and the way the energy field runs. You see, there are invisible energetic defenses that protect the wound, and these get developed at certain ages along the way, and as the child develops, they'll develop certain strategies that work for them with their parents that move them through these different developmental stages. And these individual sort of energetic defenses drive different behavioral archetypes. And so the client's often, aware of the behavioral archetype, but not aware of the individual energy defense underneath. So if you can identify the behavioral archetype, you can track the energetic defense, and underneath the energetic defense, you'll find the wound. Master healers know all that constellation and can work them through it. And the next level in self-actualization, which is really the big levers, is soul psychology. And understanding the evolution of the soul, the eternal nature of the soul, the karmic records that are loaded. And most people are trying to, when they get to a certain level of awakening, work on their dharma. Their dharma is linked to their pre-birth soul agreements. Their pre-birth soul agreements guide their life, and they drive their life ideally in alignment with their pre-birth soul agreements. What gets in the way of their dharma is their karma. and the karma is the pieces on the soul records that they have misaligned with natural law and behaved in alignment with service to self rather than service to others, and have broken natural law, and there has to be a karmic consequence for that. So very often in the evolution of your dharma, you know, have to overcome your karma, and that's the pathway, because there's the invisible gates that are missing for your life. So when you can start working on that with your clients, you really start making these big breakthroughs, and ultimately you can start helping your clients achieve embodied ascension, where they hold higher and higher stations of consciousness by doing that deep inner soul psychology work on working on the karmic pieces linked to the soul. That's the only way you can hold a higher consciousness, is by doing that deep embodied shadow work of the soul. So helping your clients through self-actualization. The fourth pillar that you need to be able to do is understand particle physics and how actually manifestation works. Most people are aware of the law of attraction, of course, but it's much deeper than that. You have to understand particle physics as it's moving from God through the void, through the hara, and through the different levels of the field. Each level, there's 7 personal levels of the field, and there are gates at each of these 7 levels of the field where the frequency has to drop down. If there are blockages and distortions with a person's relationship with, say, God at the 7th level and the celestial level, and then the etheric template level, and then at the astral level, then at the mental body level, the emotional body level, the etheric body level, if there are blockages and distortions that are misaligned with their vision that they want to manifest at any of those levels of the energy field, there's going to be discrepancies in the personal energy field that's going to block the creation dropping from source through those gates. And so you have to be able to, as a healer, have the surgical precision to work at the right level of the field where the blockages is, so the particle physics and the frequency can drop down through the levels of the field, so it ends up as a biophotonic light emission coming from the physical layer through the DNA. The DNA is the photonic light expression of the manifestation being birthed. And if the gates are closed in any of those different levels of the field, it's not going to come through. And so most healers don't truly understand what's happening at the level of the personal auric field for manifestation in a deep enough detail to be surgically precise enough to unblock what's going on there. So that's our manifestation. And finally, healers need a elegant healership framework, something that they can scale themselves up. And along the way, you know, I've learnt this, you know, stepping into it step by step. I began with no money coming in from the healing arts when I left the fitness industry, and I built up every single step of the way up into being a part-time hobbyist, into being full-time one-to-one, you know, and being able to turn over 6 figures one-to-one, and then ultimately starting to work from one-to-one to do small groups, and then from small groups getting up to, you know, 250, 400, 500, 500K, and then from small groups to large groups. To move from small groups to large groups, you need to create programs, and then ultimately you want to start giving people live experiences where you can do retreats, tours, and ceremonies. And the reason why I mention ceremonies is that what I believe is often another missing key for healers is magic. If you can learn ceremonial magic, what it does, it takes all of your existing healing skills and massively amplifies them. Ceremonial magic was an absolute key for me. I was trained in a one-to-one modality. I did a 4-year deep dive training, an energy medicine diploma. I didn't learn any shamanic magic. When I brought shamanic magic into my practice, everything amplified, and magic was felt from everyone who attended the live events and experiences, and it really made a massive difference to me. So these five pillars that I've covered are really the foundational principles for building successful practice. If you're interested in building a successful practice, Alea and I are releasing a brand new and exciting training, Neo-Shamanic Foundations. It's an introduction training to our 3-year journey within the Neo-Shamanic Society. The Neo-Shamanic Foundations is 16 weeks. It's basically all the things you need to know to get started with a life path in the healing arts. I'm really excited for this. Our team's put so much effort into it. It's been 6 months of effort to get this going and package it all together. And we're kicking it off live in a couple of days. We'll be doing a live call, and we'll be doing 16 live calls. The only time Alea and I will be doing live calls to integrate everything, so we can get the recordings on all your questions and answers and helping you to integrate the material. So our vision for the Neo-Shamanic Society is to create a pathway for healers to enter themselves into the top 1% of healers in the world. Obviously, there's massive wind coming into the wellness industry. The healing economy is set to boom I'm predicting within 10 years the healing economy is going to 10x. It's currently at $1.5 trillion, and I think it's going to get to over $10 trillion by 2035. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Raising consciousness is one of them, but essentially the wellness industry is growing at 22% on its own, let alone the big changes that we've all seen in the world in these last 5 years in awareness of health and vitality. So there's a massive boom coming. Getting place for this boom is absolute key. So I hope you're resonating with these 5 pillars. And if you want to find out more about the Neo-Shamanic Foundations, I believe it's going to be the best training for Neo-Shamans. What's a Neo-Shaman? I believe that Westerners who want to learn shamanic principles need to be trained in a way where they can learn to facilitate Westerners. The issue with core shamanism, and I've trained under 2 core shamanism modalities, one from Peru and one from Africa. They are really much designed to support, you know, the local indigenous philosophies and ways of working with their people. And Westerners come in and we have to adapt to that. The Neo-Shamanic Society is a shamanic apprenticeship training that's designed to help you grow your practice as you do it, to master working with Westerners, but working with natural law, elemental magic, and nature. If you're interested in bringing ceremonial magic, more depth to yourself and your practice, check out the Neo-Shamanic Foundations. Type in shaman in the comments below, and we will send you the link to the Neo-Shamanic Foundations. Hope this resonates. Sending you all of my sincere love, and the world needs you to step up and follow your flow and your purpose. Namaste.